Hi, I'm Tim, and I'm going to show you step by step how I install the ATI Mosin-Nagant scope mount and bolt handle. The Mosin-Nagant rifle was made in enormous numbers before and after World War II. This copy was made before the war and was made fairly well. Copies made during the war can be pretty rough. Functional, but you can see machining marks where the gunmaker kept using a machine bit that he would have switched out if he cared more about quality than turning them out by the truckload. What I like about the Mosin-Nagant is that they are rugged, cheap, and shoot cheap ammunition. Depending on market conditions, a Mosin-Nagant costs about 40% of the price of a lower-end bolt-action rifle. You can get surplus ammunition for the Mosin for less than 60% of the cost of a similar round, such as a 30-06. Even though there is plenty of cheap surplus ammunition, you can also get good ammunition for hunting for about the same cost as a box of shells for any other hunting rifle in its class. It is also a perfectly accurate rifle. The Mosin-Nagant was used by the Russian military as its sniper arm during World War II. Back in the day, I could hang 4-inch groups at 350 yards using the iron sights on my issued M16. Now I have to choose between seeing the sights or the target. I really can't see both. This means I need a scope. There are inexpensive mounts that use the hardware of the rear leaf sight. The problem with this is that a scope mounted this far forward must be an intermediate to long eye relief scope. Eye relief refers to how far away from your eye the eye has to be to see through the scope. The kind of magnification I need is most easily found in a short eye relief scope, which means it has to be mounted much further back on the rifle. That's why I'm using the ATI kit, which allows for the mounting of a short relief scope. I bought this one from my local gun shop, Mid-America Arms, here in St. Louis, Missouri. I did pay a little more than if I had ordered it online, but along with the extra price, I have the ability to talk to the guys at Mid-America and get their advice. I spoke with the sales rep for a good 15 minutes about the procedure, and I left confident that I could handle the installation. You really can't get that from a web page. The ATI kit includes a Picatinny rail mount machine to fit onto the receiver. It also has a bolt handle that replaces the original after a little surgery. The new bolt handle allows you to turn the bolt with the scope mount in place. The kit has the drill bits and a 1032 tap to create screw threads that will ultimately allow you to install both the scope mount and the new bolt handle. To install the new ATI hardware, you have to cut off the old bolt handle, drill and tap a hole for it, and then drill and tap 2 holes for the scope mount. Once done, you screw the mount and the new bolt handle in place. In addition to the drill bits and tap, I used a couple blocks of scrap wood, a drill, a hacksaw, and a mill file. I also needed a ruler, a couple of clamps, Allen wrenches, a screwdriver, and a pencil. I needed to use something to lubricate the drill bits and tap as they cut. I just used some power steering fluid I had in the garage. Almost anything will work. I used my cleaning kit to get all the filings, chips, and other metal crap out of and off of my firearm. The following steps assume that you have safely unloaded and cleared your firearm. I am also assuming that you can disassemble the rifle and put it back together. In addition to normal field stripping, I removed the trigger from my rifle. To clamp the receiver on a flat surface, I built a little furniture for it. In a block of wood long enough to allow the receiver to lie flat, I drilled a 3/4 inch hole to accommodate the screw boss. I placed the upper receiver and its jig onto a longer scrap piece of plywood and shimmed up the barrel so it too would lie flat and secure. First, I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to differentiate between the receiver and the chamber. The receiver is sturdy, but it is only subjected to loading ammunition and ejecting spent cases. The chamber is what contains the explosive force of the cartridge as it fires. If you were to drill into the chamber, you would weaken it and make it into a very unsafe firearm, with potential for catastrophic injury or death. This is the chamber. Do not drill. This is the receiver. This is where drilling is okay. The ATI rail is designed to align along the front to back axis of the barrel fairly easily. However, one could mount the rail in a way that it is not exactly at top dead center. It is also important to bore the holes as straight as possible into the metal as close as possible to top dead center. ATI suggests you use a drill press, but I found clamping the rail in place and getting it into the drill press almost impossible. Using a piece of steel pipe, I tested drilling by hand, carefully, to drilling with a drill press. I tapped the holes and threaded extra long 10 by 32 screws into the holes. I found that if I was careful, the results were about the same. The ATI kit comes with 2 bits, one to create a small divot in the steel to get the smaller bit started. The other is to drill the holes that you tap with threads for the mounting screws. The larger bit fits into the screw holes in the Picatinny rail mount, which helps to align the bit to the exact center where the hole will go. You only need to drill a little bit, just enough to keep the smaller drill bit from skipping around on the steel. Once you have your pilots drilled, now you can drill the mounting holes. Use plenty of oil to keep the drill running cool and smooth, which will prevent it from becoming dull. As you drill, take care not to wobble the drill bit around. You can inadvertently widen the mouth of your hole, which will result in having less robust threads after you tap it. Use the tap to create the threads from the mounting screw, again using oil to keep the tap lubricated and clear of chips. I happen to have a tap handle, but you can use a small adjustable wrench to turn the tap. Be patient. I turned it until the tap bit, then a few revolutions, then added oil, then backed it out a few turns, lots of patience and lots of oil. After cleaning up a few burrs and clearing away any metal slivers, I thoroughly cleaned the rifle. I mount the rail using Loctite glue on the mounting screws. The first half of setting up my Mosin-Nagant for a scope is complete. On to the bolt handle. Using a cloth to protect the surface, I place the bolt in a vise. I keep the bolt flat and level with the vise jaws to act as a reference when making measurements. The instructions say to cut the bolt off 3/16 of an inch from the flat area where the bolt handle meets the bolt. This will take a little eyeballing. Make a mark, then begin cutting. A hacksaw will work just fine. As I cut, I move the saw around the perimeter of the bolt to help keep the stump I will be leaving mostly flat. Once I remove the handle, I take a mill file and smooth out the stump. Placing the bolt handle on the stump, I mark the spot where the mounting screw will go. I had a center punch, so I used it to punch a little crater in the steel to keep the drill bit from wandering as I drill the pilot. Using the large bit, I cut a little divot using oil to lubricate the drill bit. As with drilling the receiver, take care not to wobble the drill. Keep the bit lubricated and drill your hole. I did not remove the firing pin and its spring when doing this operation. If I had it to do over again, I would. There are plenty of videos online that show you how to remove the Mosin-Nagant firing pin and put it back together. You're going to want to do that anyway to clean out any metal chips that get into the firing pin channel. After boring the hole, use the tap to cut threads, keeping the tap and hole well lubricated. My Mosin needed the spacer included with the kit. I finessed the bolt handle stump a bit with a file, creating a shoulder on the stump so the spacer would lie flat. Done with drilling, tapping, and filing, I clean up the bolt. With the spacer in place, I put the handle on and install the screw, tightening it up with an Allen wrench. Installation of the bolt handle is complete. The final step is to carve a notch out of the stock to allow the new bolt handle to completely lock down. It does not take much, and I did most of the carving with a pocket knife and some sandpaper wrapped around a pencil. A little finish, and it's all done. I think it came out pretty nice. On a scale of 1 to 10, with replacing a smoke detector battery being a 1 and rebuilding a Camaro being a 10, I would put this project at about a 4. You need to be comfortable working with your hands because it did not so much demand precision as a steady hand. Good luck, and feel free to leave comments about your experience.